If you're watching the Game Awards, you will have seen that Microsoft has officially revealed the next Xbox. Peter Brown, managing editor at GameSpot, had the opportunity to meet with Phil Spencer and Jason Ronald to talk about this new Xbox, and now he's going to relay some of the information that he learned there to us and to you. Peter, what is this Xbox called?
I'm not going to beat around the bush because everyone's pretty much seen it by now. It is a tower. It has a square footprint and it is a tall monolith. That said, it can also be put on its side, so you don't have to keep it upright. It's actually how Phil Spencer has his at home, is on its side, and it's called the Xbox Series X.
What was the reasoning behind calling it that, and what do you think it means for the future of Xbox consoles going forward?
I could speculate forever, right? I think there are a lot of rumors out there right now about there being two different versions of whatever the next Xbox is. What Phil Spencer said was that when they name a console, right, they always try to do it around what it represents, what's it going to do. So if I think about the name Series X, the title Series implies that there could be others, right, because it's a distinction. And X, as we know, is the moniker for the most powerful version of the Xbox One that's available today. They did not make any mention of this or any confirmation, and purely speculation on my part, but it seems to me that the rumors out there could be true and that we could see another Xbox that could be called Xbox Series
S,
perhaps.
I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise given that from the 360 onwards, they have always revealed and released a revised version of that console.
Yeah, but it's also worth pointing out too that like the console is one piece of the thing. xCloud is also a huge piece of this experience. So even if, let's say, I think the current rumors are that the Xbox or the lesser version of the new Xbox, like based on the rumors alone, is going to be somewhere close to the Xbox One X right now.
Right.
And I think a lot of that, in order to bring parity to the experience, the heavy lifting is going to be done by xCloud.
Right. So going back to the actual visual side of it, you saw an image or video of the console.
The same one everyone else has seen.
The same one that everyone else saw. So did they speak about the kind of a decision to go for a tower format, or what was the thinking behind that? It's very unusual for a console. Traditionally, as we know them to be, they're always flat. What's the deal here?
Phil Spencer said that they wanted to approach this console to be a performance leader. That's a position that they like to have in the industry. Like when you think about the Xbox One X over the PS4 Pro, for example. So he said that he basically went to the engineering teams and said, these are the specs, these are the things we want to reach for, and I want you to build a system that can achieve that, rather than saying, here's what we want it to look like, make the tech fit in there. Or say it has to fit these dimensions for whatever reason, make it work. So it really, really sounds like this was born out of the engineering know-how to accomplish the goals that they set out for, which includes a lot of things.
Right. And like it's still aesthetically quite pleasing, right? It's got more of an industrial design to it.
Personally, I am in love with the design just because it's so simple. It's a black tower. Again, I use the word monolith because that's just what I think of when I see it. It's got a vent on the top with sort of largest looking circles and a green concave thing beneath it. And that's where the only fan in the system is housed.
Right. And
through that one fan alone, despite the console being 4 times as powerful as X, Spencer and Ronald were telling me that it is just as loud/quiet as the Xbox One X currently.
Okay.
So huge power increase, and the form factor allows them to do that. I'm sure with some other things as well, but the form factor helps them achieve that without making the audio signature too loud, because they just want this thing to sort of be there but not take away from the experience of the game because it's blowing fans really loudly.
Seems like a one small step closer to PC kind of architecture style.
Yeah. I wish I had more time to talk to them about that. I only had about 10 minutes for questions. But it you know, the design definitely evokes that of a traditional PC. But I think when you also think about the sort of tech specs and the claims that they're making, just in my own head, I know there are still a ton of reasons for PC gaming, so I don't want to suggest that I think PC gaming is going to become irrelevant. But as you say, it's like one step towards creating just or breaking down the disparity between things like consoles and PCs in terms of what's the most powerful. Because I think when you start to talk 8K, when you start to talk 120 frames per second on TVs, well, yeah, at that point, you know, what is a PC other than a place for open platforms for people to publish games, right?
So tell us about the controller.
Yes.
We've got this new look.
It looks a lot like this controller. In fact, it looks almost identical from the video, as most people saw. One of the big changes is in the middle, there is a share button.
Right.
So that will go in to do what you see happening already on like PlayStation, right? Share screenshots, share gameplay, things like that. They did say that the controller was reduced in size just a little bit. They quoted a very high percentage of the current controller fitting the hands of like most of the people around the world based on their studies. And the new one is supposed to just raise that bar just a little bit higher. I was told, this is getting into minutia, but the sort of angle here is more rounded off and it actually bleeds into the handles. So rather than have this cliff, you just have a more smooth, ergonomic, I suppose, controller. I still have not held it myself. Again, this is the old one. They say it'll be roughly the same size. Right. And because I think a lot of us, and I'm sure people are going to already be opening it in Photoshop and drawing lines and stuff, they showed the controller next to the new system.
Right.
So it's effectively roughly as wide as the controller. So as wide as it is deep if it's got that square footprint. And it looked about 3 times as tall. So not a huge box, right? Like it definitely looks like something that's not quite a console, but it's not as big as a PC, certainly.
Cool. The actual controller, is it designed specifically to function just with that iteration of the Xbox or Series X, or can it be used in previous consoles? They've talked previously about, obviously they have the Elite controller, which is an expensive machine, and they've said in the past that they want to ensure that people who own that can continue to use that. Is that the case for this new console too?
Absolutely, and I think it's actually more than just the Series 2 that's going to work on the new system. They were saying that all your Xbox One controllers are going to work.
Okay.
Likewise, the new controller for Series X, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the difference between Xbox One X and Series X. It's going to be tough for SEO, but yes, the new controller will work on Xbox One and on your PC as well. So you can take it wherever you take your Xbox controller to.
Okay. And in terms of games,
we know about Halo Infinite.
We know there's a bunch of games in production. So Microsoft recently went on that acquisition spree of acquiring a bunch of studios, and at least one of those studios is, their project is bearing fruit for the Series X. Ninja Theory is working on a new game.
They are, and it is Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2.
Okay.
So if you saw the reveal of the console, you probably also saw the reveal of this game. Maybe you heard, maybe you didn't while watching, but everything they've shown in that reveal is running in engine. I'm going to caveat everything I'm about to say with that, yes, these were, cut scenes that were probably meticulously made to, reach the fidelity that they have. And Spencer and Ronald both stressed to me that this game is taking advantage of everything the Xbox One X can do. Like, that's what this is meant to do. It looks amazing. I was just kind of... It was that moment where we always talk about with each new console generation, especially now, when we're approaching things like 4K, where it's like, at what point are we going to level off, where graphics sort of stop mattering so much? I'm not going to say that we're there yet, because I'm sure there are things that could be improved that I'm not even thinking of. But my God, dude, I was looking at this and it looked like I was watching just a CG pre-rendered movie. It looked so incredible. And a large part of that has to do with ray tracing as well.
Yeah.
We couldn't get into the nitty gritty of it, but where some ray tracing support comes from a lot of software side things, the system is going to be doing that with hardware specifically.
Right.
And though I didn't really get to experience this, they were saying that like ray tracing is good. What it is bounces light around a scene. It can calculate that better than other methods. So the lighting looks more realistic. Your average scene looks more realistic. That also applies to audio. They can basically just track the audio along those same vectors as they bounce to do spatial audio through ray tracing as well. So Senua's Saga it looks incredible. It looks super haunting, and if the expression, like the sort of extreme moments of expression that came out in that first game really spoke to you, I think like me, you probably watched that and just felt like, oh, I can't wait to see what else is in store for Senua, especially with some of the scenes they showed too.
At risk of delving too deep into the game itself, was there any indication of how far along that game might be, given that the acquisition of Ninja Theory is fairly recent? Does that mean this is just an early version of the game, or is it something that they've been working on prior to the acquisition?
So when I asked this question, the discussion was basically like, well, we've got a long-standing relationship with Ninja Theory, And by the time we approached them with, hey, maybe we should work together, become partners, that sort of thing, this game existed on their roadmap.
Right.
It didn't sound like it was already in development in terms of like, okay, we know what we're making this for, therefore we can define our constraints. This is our target date. I mean, I don't think any of that was set in stone probably until Microsoft acquired them. Yeah.
Okay. Some of the kind of other things that people will no doubt want to know about, whether they discussed or not, is like the service-based stuff, like Xbox Live. Have they mentioned any sort of indication of what's going to happen with that as as people transition to the new console?
I was promised it was going to be seamless. Everything you currently have access to on Xbox Live, including your achievements, friends, the games you own, is going to be available on day one when this launches. And when I say games you own, I mean backwards compatibility with games that work on Xbox One right now.
Okay, so that was a lot of information. Was there any indication on details such as release date and price?
We still just have that holiday 2020 window.
Okay.
They didn't make any new announcements regarding a specific date or what this will cost. Phil Spencer is on record, though, saying that I forget the exact phrasing he used, but they're going to be in position when this launches, meaning that like the price, according to them, based on where they suspect the market to be, is going to be one that is fitting for the console market,
right?
Fitting for a high-end console. So I think if you kind of imagine where something like the Xbox One X was when it launched, relative to where we are then, like, yeah, it'll probably be, if I had to put on my genie cap and guess, I would guess $500.
Right.
I feel like once you go above that, you're starting to ask a lot of your customers, but we'll see. I have no idea. They didn't make any mention of that. It's purely just guessing on my part, and I just want to guess right now because I've seen this thing and it feels real.
And you mentioned earlier that you also asked Phil Spencer about the competition, is that right?
Yeah, I didn't quite... He talked about it that way, but I know that classically he doesn't like to think about console wars as a thing because he doesn't feel like there's meant to be a winner or a loser, just that people are supposed to lead each other down new paths of innovation in a sense, which is a great way to put it, and I don't know if... I assume it's genuine.
Right.
Yeah, they are interested to see what Sony is going to do. And obviously AMD, their hardware partner that's helped them on the GPU side and the CPU side, is also working with Sony on the PlayStation 5. They're not sharing info, right? They don't know exactly what's going on with the PS5. But they, like they did with Xbox One X, you see the Pro kind of came out roughly similar time. Like, he was like, we've been in the industry long enough that we kind of have a good sense of where things stand. And so... But to answer your question specifically, is he excited about it? I think I got the impression that he is sort of laser focused right now on this new launch. But if anything, I think and he has to be, I know, but genuinely excited about what this can do. I like the one big question mark I had, which was, you're offering all this power, and that's great for the user, but what does that mean for developers? Like, how are they going to keep up with these increasing promises of games looking better? Like, doesn't that get more expensive? What happens for teams that are smaller in the middle side? And he just kind of believes that a good game is a good game, even if it's not like the most impressive technical showcase. And that the Game Awards is kind of like a good reflection of that. You get to see the stuff that gets people excited. And I think even if you look at the portfolio of people they've picked up, right, like including the likes of Double Fine,
yeah,
it makes sense. Like, not every game is going to have to look so incredible, but the experience that's going to come with this console is more than just graphics. Just before we go, it also has to do with the faster loading times. They hinted at trying games from the cloud rather than buying them. So, like, if someone says, hey, you want to try this game out? I'd be like, sure, I'll try it out because I can, right? It's about making the experience smoother for all. So I think, yeah, the graphical stuff is going to be there, but I'm also really, really interested to see just how seamless using this console is going to be. And alternatively, because Sony has promised very similar things, what it's going to look like for them. I think that's going to be one of the more unusual and interesting talking points next year.
Right. Any indication of when they plan to provide more information about the Series X?
They said, well, why are we doing this at something like the Game Awards? Well, for a lot of reasons. And then he also mentioned E3 2020 is going to be a big one for us.
Okay.
So I think that's probably what we can look forward to next. We've already had XO19 happen a couple weeks back. We're heading into the new year. I hate to say it, E3 is not far away.
Terrifying.
So get ready if anything, more Xbox Series X news.
Yeah. Until then, people are going to have to make do with what we have on offer, which we have quite a bit.
Yes.
You have a feature written around the actual piece, the actual new console, as well as an interview, and we've got a bunch of breakout stories.
Yep.
So if you want more information about the Xbox Series X, still confusing, go to gamespot.com, and in the meantime you can find us on Twitter. I'm at TimorH and Peter is
PC Brown.
See you on the interwebs.